water can be infused with the energy of anything by anyone at any time in any place. The easiest part for me of making an animal essence is connecting with the animal. So if I were to make an essence now of mountain lion, place a bowl of water in a clearing in the forest I have to walk in, so I'm away from humanity during this time. And I'm just aware I'm the bridge. My heart's open to mountain lion. Let me serve you to help others, essentially. So when I get to the center of that circle, my thinking mind is as close to zero with me still moving as possible. At that point, I bend down and I just lift the bowl for 10 seconds as I am with mountain lion. And I hold the bowl for 10 seconds, and then I lower the bowl down and I spiral back in the opposite direction. My thinking mind comes back, 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 back. And 10 minutes later, I'm back at the tree where I started. Now there's this liquid that can serve.
Welcome back to the Medicine Podcast. My name is Mimi, and I have my love, my king next to me here for a very fun conversation.
Guys, we have really been looking forward to this one for a while. It's been long in the making. I'm so honored to introduce our guest today, Daniel Mapel, who is the founder of Wild Earth Animal Essences. Welcome to the Medicine Podcast.
Chase, Mimi, thank you so much. We've been all looking forward to this, and it's really great to be here with you today. I'm excited. Let's see what happens.
Yes, it's gonna be great. I listened to your episode with Paul Check. I don't even know when it was, 2 months ago. I don't know. And I was just so taken by your love and your passion for what you do and the heart that you pour into your work and your products and the world. And so I just want to first start by acknowledging that, because, you know, there's a lot of people shouting about all the different things that the world needs right now. But I think one of the things that we can probably all agree on is more of what you're doing is pouring your heart into your work and people and the world. And that's just never the wrong answer.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you so much. And I'm right with you there on all of that. You know, to me, the big problem with humanity is we've lost our heart, and we're all re-entering in our own timing the journey of like reconnecting with our heart and loving and serving from our heart with the special gifts we've come to share. And like you two have found that. You've found your, as one person said, your chair in the world, your place where you're loving and serving. And it's like, I know we share that. We share this passion for what we do and this joy in being in our hearts and giving what we have as much as we can wherever we can. So I'm with you. Yeah.
Beautiful. I think I need to sit in my chair a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that visual. Like you found your chair, almost like a global or cosmic game of like musical chairs where we're all looking for our chair that we want to sit in.
And I feel so blessed that 30 years ago next year, I found this specific. I have multiple chairs I sit in, you know, as a dad and a husband and a friend and all these different, you know, roles we play. But one of the most important is as the creator of these animal essences that I share with the world. And for me, it's all about just being a humble servant, being in my heart, and being a bridge. You know, some people come throw the shamanic word at me all the time. Are you a shaman? No, I'm not. I don't think in those terms. Are you like a guru? No. I'm just a bridge. I'm just a simple bridge between the animals and those that can benefit from them, including myself. So my whole goal and the thing that keeps me sane in this life is not having this grandiose image of what I do, or what I'm here to do. No, it's just very simple. My goal is to just be a humble servant of the animals and to help them really do their work, which is they're all about being available. Like they're crying for us to cry out to them. Like, please allow us to serve you because you humans need our guidance and support. You know, you've lost your heart. We know how to help you re-find it. And one of the things I've seen over and over again is if we open our hearts to the wild and to nature and to all of creation, ultimately, that it's like the universe spirit is totally here to support us in growing up, waking up, and loving and serving like we're talking about. Amen.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
We're gonna pull on so many of these threads. What a perfect intro to the conversation today. I think let's start with what I'm holding here for those who aren't watching on YouTube is what looks like an essential oil glass, tincture, and it is an animal essence, and we've got 4 of them from Wild Earth Animal Essence, and
That's me.
that's you. Maybe first a quick, just like, your elevator pitch definition on what animal essences are, and then
Right.
what led you to this work and what we can all tell is such a passion for you.
That's awesome. I've never been asked for the elevator pitch, but here we go. So, Wild Earth Animal Essences are vibrational remedies. They're purely energetic. The energetic frequency, I make them in a ceremonial process, which includes no animal parts and no animals are captured or harmed. So it's simply a meditative process between me and the animal, infusing the liquid with the spirit of the animal, and that is then bottled and fixed. The vibration is fixed with brandy as a preservative, and it holds it. Just like with flower essences and other vibrational remedies, brandy is commonly used as the fixative. So, and then these tinctures support us both when have challenges and when we're doing really well. For example, I'm holding here, for those who can't see, a bottle of Dove essence. This is my go-to in these days, these times, really. And Dove, for example, can help us when we're struggling or in conflict with ourselves or with others. That's truly the essence of bringing peace where there's a lack of peace. So that's an example of how an essence can support us when we're out of balance. But for me, I'm using it because this is one of the classic essences that supports our heart. And for deepening into our heart chakra, I find that the Dove helps me just quiet down and deepen into that stillness, that deep inner peace at the center of my own heart. So it's also a very spiritual remedy, as well as one that can help us when we're like really in conflict, really struggling. And each of the animals can support us in these different ways, helping us when we're out of balance and also supporting us when we're doing really well and want to deepen even more into the spiritual gift of that animal. So how this all happened, next year will be 30 years, guys, 30 years.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And the first 30 years of my life were very traditional. Grew up in an upper middle class family. My father was a banker, went to Dartmouth College, great education, went into the Peace Corps when I was 22. And that opened me up to the wider world. I was the first white person to live in my West African village and got to experience, there's a whole nother way of perceiving reality than I ever saw. I mean, I didn't use a clock or a watch for 3 years.
Oh,
wow.
God, that sounds so nice.
Oh my God. We need like just a moment for that. Like really think about, like listener, think about not being bound to time to let you know where you're supposed to go and what you're supposed to do. Like,
I'll meet you, Mimi, tomorrow when the sun is here at such and such a place.
Yeah.
And you go there, and Mimi's doesn't show up for a couple more hours, and there's no word in the language for late. There's no word in the mobile language that I spoke. There's no concept in that. So the present is really all there is. And these people were just so well. The thing that impressed me most about being with them is they had food insecurity based on the year, based on the climate of that year. So there was a lot of challenge year to year, depending on the harvest. And yet these people were so well grounded, the most well-grounded people I've ever been around. And you know why? Because they're carried as infants and babies and young children for the first 2 to 3 years of their life. They're in their mom's arms, their aunt's arms, a brother. There's this attachment that happens to them from birth that is so deep. And that just, Mary and I raised Gabriel with the whole attachment parenting philosophy, which is, as much contact as possible, both physical and emotional, for as long as the child needs. We have this myth in this culture that children need to be taught to be independent, and that's wrong. children are naturally want to be independent and will grow into that in their own timing. So I'm going on a tangent here, but the bottom
Love
line,
it.
Africa, being with those people taught me so much about an alternative way of seeing reality. And I got to experience very traditional ceremonies that I might have been the only first white person in that specific culture, the MOBA culture, to see really burials and funeral rites and other things,
Wow.
like wild stuff and stuff that I would truly call shamanic. I think one of the reasons I don't use that word is because I saw some stuff that I can't even explain
Mm.
Wow.
from a real shamanic perspective. So I use that word very sparingly. And when I was in Africa, I got to encounter an incredible number of wild animals as well and learn from them as well. So then I came back from that and was plunged into my own dark night of the soul up until 27. I thought, oh, perfect family, perfect childhood, everything's fine. My father's more or less alcoholic. My mother's mentally really challenged, but everything's fine. And then that myth of the perfect family collapsed, and I was plunged into terror. For I couldn't sleep. I had to sleep with the light on at night.
Mm.
I say there's several huge moments of grace in my life, and one of them was when I walked in. I was smoking pot every day, but never before noon, because only people who have issues with pot smoke before noon and can't control it. But at noon, I can light up. I'm good. I'm in control. But no, I wasn't. I was really a mess. My relationships with women were a mess. And one of the great moments of grace was walking into this counseling office and saying, I need a therapist. And they said, well, we only have this woman named Barbara. She just arrived. Would you like to see her? And I said, sure. And Barbara was like my angel, like
Oh,
woman. I would not be alive without Barbara. Like Barbara
wow.
guided me through my darkness for 3 years, once or twice a week, and taught me how to take care of my inner child, how to
Mm.
reconnect with this scared, terrified boy who had some horrendous things that had happened to him when he was little and had repressed and suppressed all those
Mm.
feelings and was medicating that with pot and alcohol and toxic relationships with women and all that stuff that we do. And she guided me to connect with the pain that was there and let it out. And the most important work I've ever done in my whole life was those years of grieving with Barbara, crying and
Mm.
letting out the stored pain that I'd been carrying for decades at that point, and letting out the anger physically, getting it out so that I could find myself, find my heart, refine who I really was. And I liked that person that I found. And I stopped smoking. I didn't need to medicate away reality. I liked reality.
Mm.
And Barbara said the wisest thing any human being ever said to me one day. I was really struggling. And some of the memories I was working with were having been sexually abused as a young
Mm.
boy, never having anyone to tell about it, having to keep it a secret, all the rage, all the pain, all the shame of that. And it was all on me that day. And I was begging her, I was saying, Barbara, Barbara, like I was pleading with her, almost like this, will these memories ever go away? And I want her to smile and look at me and say, yeah, yeah, of course.
Sure.
She looked at me like a laser, like a spiritual master. She looked me right in the eyes and she said, no, they will never go away, but they will lose their power over you.
Mm.
No, they will never go away, but they will lose their power over you. Boom. 40 years ago, that still makes me go boom.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
this was
I got the
a
hair
moment.
standing up on the back of my neck. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's what happened. As I grieved, and to me, grieving is the path of healing, crying out the stored pain. As I let that out, over and over again, the memories lost their power. And now, of course, I still have those memories of those things that happened, but it's more like remembering a dream or something from a past life or something that long ago that has no charge. And in my experience with my life and working with many clients and my wife Mary's journey, it's always the same as we reconnect with the pain that we have not cleared and let it out, it's dissolved. And
Mm.
what's left is our connection with spirit. And all that energy I'd been using to hold down all that shit, all that energy, once I dealt with that stuff and let it out, processed it, released it through my tears, all that energy is freed up. And where does it go? Right up into my connection with spirit. And it's no surprise that I got to the point with Barbara where, okay, I feel like I'm ready to go to this program in California in spiritual psychology as a master's program. And I also feel like I'm ready for a healthy relationship. And she looked at me and she said, you will make a good choice. And the first day I walked into that program, I looked at this beautiful woman on the floor and I was like, that's her. I knew.
Wow.
It was like, and I walked out of that room and I saw another new friend from the program that I'd made a couple days before. And I was staggering down the hallway. And he goes, Dan, what's going on? I said, Dick, I found her.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and then the animal essences all came out of this inner work. And one clairvoyant in the UK said, Daniel, the reason the animals picked you to do this work is because you don't need anything from them. You're not looking to them to make you a somebody. You've done that work. You know that's the most important thing you'll ever do in your life. And this is just kind of what you do. And I love what I do. I'm passionate about it. I love traveling around the world teaching about this. And it's like an amazing journey, but it's not who I am. It's like what I do. I often call it my assignment from God. It's like what I'm here, how I'm here to serve. And I'm grateful for it because I adore it. It's a long answer to some question that was like a long time ago.
Absolutely
that was a great elevator ride. Like,
Yeah, right.
I'm
It really
just
was.
like, we're never getting off.
Yeah.
No, it's great. I love that. I love hearing people's, superhero origin stories, so to speak. And yours is incredible. And I'm so grateful to Barbara and for you for jumping into the deep end.
In this little cup, I have my favorite way to enjoy mushy love, which is in combination with cold milk. We drink raw cow's milk, and I put it about 8 ounces of milk in with about a scoop and a half of mushy love. That combination, like the cold version of mushy love, tastes like liquid graham crackers. Like, I shit you not. And if you don't know yet what mushy love is, it's our mushroom elixir with 500 milligrams of chaga, which is amazing for gut support. They call it the king of mushrooms. And then 500 milligrams as well of tremella mushroom, which is the beauty mushroom. And she is most known for holding 500 times her weight in water. The more hydrated we are, the more plump and dewy and fresh and young our skin looks.
Plump and dewy.
For Mushy Love, go to getmushylove.com and you can use the code MEDICINE for a nice little discount that we only give to our medicine podcast listeners.
Well, one of the threads I'd love to pull on is, as it resonates for me, and I'm sure it will resonate for many, and it's this idea of the letting out. And you mentioned that a couple times. What, in your opinion, is the proper environment and proper container for safely and therapeutically letting out? Because I would say that I've perhaps let out at times in my life that have been the maybe not the safest space to do so. Maybe even having had been an unconscious let out where I almost spewed it out on everybody around me where they weren't ready for it.
Right.
And so what does that look like for what you're describing as alchemy? It really does seem like this alchemical process.
Absolutely. I want to begin by saying that this is the most natural animal thing that we as mammals have the ability to do, is we know as animals, as mammals, how to heal. All we have to do is give ourselves permission to let our animal bodies do it. And we live in a culture that doesn't support that. That says, no, don't go there. Don't look at that stuff. Watch me, like me, look out, don't look in. So, but once we get to the point where we're willing to look in, you're absolutely right. We've got to find safe places to let that out. Now, a lot of the work I did with Barbara was by myself, but there was no substitute for having the safe place where I could go. And the key component of that was that she was there exclusively for me. And And I wanted to make her my friend. We can get together. You can come to my party. She's like, no, no, no. You don't understand. What you need to hear and get through your thick skull is that your inner child needs a place that's for him, where he doesn't have to do anything for me or take care of my needs or be concerned about my feelings or anything. He needs a place where he can feel safe to feel what he can feel, knowing that I am here 100% for him. And she did that. That was our container. And she said, what I need from you is for you to give me some money so that I can afford to be here and do this job.
Right.
But other than that, I'm here totally for you. And I knew nothing about Barbara's life. And I didn't want to. I mean, I did want to. And I got to the point where I was, no, that's not what this is about. This is the safe container for me to go deep. And I have not yet found another substitute for that. There may be one, but to me, that is the ideal scenario where you have a place that you feel safe with someone else, somebody who's there to serve you and hold a sacred container for you to go where you need to go. And the other component of that is initials after the name mean nothing. Credentials on a wall mean nothing. The only true qualification to guide someone anywhere is that you've gone there yourself. And that's what Barbara had done. So she knew how to guide me. And that's how I've guided so many people. Because when people show up with wherever they're at, oh, I know the terrain that you need to walk because I walked it. And I can help you with that.
Yeah. I love the point of that. This is maybe one of the most animalistic things that we can do is have this space of letting out. It makes me think of stories that I've heard, and I'm going to butcher this. I'm going to butcher the animal here, but it's either like a gazelle or like a deer where they're being chased and they're going through this traumatic experience because their life's in danger, and let's just say they escape the threat, and prior to really moving on to any other normal course of deer activity, they go through like a shaking. There's like a trembling, shaking, almost like an exorcist of this traumatic hyper adrenaline state that they were in. And they don't carry that with them like into the normal deer state, which of course they would never be able to. And we as humans just have a traumatic experience, white knuckle it, and then just try to pretend like everything was fine, and like we're not going to wear that around in our bodies for freaking eternity.
The way I like to describe that is that our animal body, when that deer experience happens to us, wants to release it in the moment, wants to release the shock of that. And that's pain, wants to release the natural pain that we've just experienced and in the moment. And if we block it, it gets locked. And now we go from pain to suffering. And I love the phrase, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. And pain, I feel the more we're open to life and are connected, the more pain we're going to allow ourselves to feel when it arises and cry. I say, I do a lot of things well, but the thing I do best is cry when I need to. Okay? That's like, I've done it in Frankfurt airport baggage claim. When I'm sad, find a corner, cry. Like there's no place I can't cry basically in the world when I need to cry. And I really believe that's why at 64, I am as healthy as I am. And because I know how to allow all of my feelings to move. Allow my animal body to process in the moment as much as possible what's arising. So there's very little new suffering that ever happens to me. There's a lot of pain, shock, crisis, even a trauma. But the suffering part doesn't happen because I allow myself as immediately as possible to move through that. And this is just, it's like, I'm not special this way. This is our like animal gift. I remember my son Gabriel was 5. We were walking in the woods. He had the biggest fall of his life. A beautiful moment, father and son with the sun, and there were animals, and perfect. And then boom, he falls like a tree, bites his lip. There's blood, there's screaming. It's like a real trauma, potentially. And he cries, and I I grab him and I'm like, do I need to rush him to the ER? And it's like, no, I think I can stay. His blonde hair is getting all red, blood's coming out, he's screaming, thrashing, and I just was like a mountain for him. Sat him on the ground, buddy, I'm right here for you. I love you. Let it out. Just let it out. You're gonna be okay. Just let it out. And kicking, and then after about 5 minutes, his face is like an orange and the blood's starting to clot, and he's like gonna be okay, but he's like, and he's crying still, and then his anger starts coming out. Why? And it's like, it's just an accident, buddy. It's part of being human. Just let it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was giving his animal body total permission to go through what it needed to go through. And he was going right through it. After about 10 minutes, it's like a grapefruit. He looks like hell, but he's okay and he's settling. And I say, are you ready for me to carry you back to the car? Because we'd walked in about 10 minutes in this park. And he goes, no. It's like, okay, we're going to chill here for a while. And then his mental mind is just, even at 5, is trying to understand why. And I just kept reassuring him. Okay, I'm ready for you to carry me back to the car. Walk him to the car. You ready to go in your car seat? No. Okay, we're going to sit right here. And then he cried some more about this. Like, this was so hard. Blah, blah, blah. Just great. I'm right here. Let it out. Okay, now I'm ready to go in the car seat. Put him in the car. And this is where the story became mind-blowing to me. Absolutely, like, to this day, I can't believe what happened. Drove him home 10 minutes. Got him out of the car. I'll never forget the look on Mary's face when she comes out of the house and sees Gabriel walking toward her like a blood monster. And I just said to her, it's okay. Don't say anything. And the most amazing thing happened. He never mentioned it again. Never mentioned the event. This was at 11 in the morning. That day, even as his mom is cleaning him up, didn't say a word. Never mentioned the event to me again. We were teaching a workshop together in England a few years ago, and I turned to him and I said, do you ever think of that? Do you remember that? And he says, I only remember that because you keep telling everybody about it.
Oh my gosh.
But literally, so why didn't he mention it ever again? Because there was nothing to talk about. His animal body in the moment had processed all the feelings with support. Notice that, with the support and container to do that. All the anger, all the pain. So yeah, I know there was pain there. I mean, he looked like hell for days. But he never mentioned being in pain, and the pain was not causing him a problem because there was no suffering. None of the feelings had been blocked or locked. And to bring it back to the animals, like, I love that as mammals are like our greatest gift of all the mammals is our emotional body, our ability to feel deeply. Just ask your dog or your cat or your horse or your elephant, whatever it is. Like, we have this connection as mammals that is emotional. And so not only is it our deepest gift to feel, but it's our deepest gift to resolve suffering in the moment or from the past. And the animal essences are here to support us, especially in dealing with this unresolved stuff when we couldn't release it from childhood and now need to do this Barbara-like work of letting these feelings out.
It's such a good lesson for all of us as adults, even just hearing the story about your son, and then also just Chase and I are trying to conceive and thinking about the values and principles. We talk about this all the time, like usually at dinner, like, what are some of the values and principles that we want to instill, and that seems like that would be a very valuable skill, and it's sort of like the opposite of what the maybe like knee-jerk reaction of a parent is, where you see your child fall. I'm an aunt of like 10 nieces and nephews.
Wow, cool.
So I have done this many times myself. I'm not immune, but when a little kid falls and they're crying, their discomfort, you don't want to see them hurt, so you quickly reassure them, it's okay, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay, breathe, you're okay, you're not hurt, you're fine. And it might get them to calm down in the moment, but like in that, you've totally squashed whatever feelings they do have about it. And so they're not learning about how to regulate and how to move through difficult feelings, rather they're having someone they trust and they know loves them say, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay. Okay, I guess I just need to like not, I need to not cry.
Well, it's kind of like taking a sleeping pill every single night to go to sleep instead of allowing your body to get to a state of rest, to wind down, and to organically uh, familiarize yourself with sleepiness, such that you actually fall asleep. And you know, speaking from someone who's struggled with sleep for a while, that is like sort of the lesson that seems to be pervasive across these various lanes, is that if we stifle the opportunity for our meat suit to process something and lean into the natural rhythms of nature, we're going
Yes.
to actually miss out on being able to hypertrophy the muscle to work with nature itself.
Yeah. Beautiful. I mean, to me, what I see, I love just watching wild animals. You know, at times I have very powerful interactions with them that are probably the deepest personal experiences. But the general thing I love to do is just watch them and just see how they are so themselves. And especially we live among wild bears here and get to know them as individuals, and their different temperaments and personalities are quite different.
Mm.
And you can see them having experiences, either of fear or of joy or whatever it might be, and just seeing that they're just like mirrors to me of what I am meant to continue to be as much as I can, which is just alive and embodied and feeling whatever, letting life flow through me. And so I just love watching and letting animals can always just be whether it's just watching a sparrow sing in the morning sun on the fence post out my front door. It's just like there's something about that, is the purity of that is our purity. It's like we are this pure. We think the animals are like, oh, the animals have all this stuff and blah blah. No, we are them. We are them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
love that.
I think that's a great next bridge to talking about what your process is for developing these animal essences. It sounds like you are observing animals, but take me through what it's like from the ideation through to an actual finished product.
Okay, good.
And what the process looks like.
And how you choose the animal.
Yeah.
Good. So the choice of animals comes in a variety of different ways. I get a lot of guidance through dreams. I'm very blessed to have a very active dream life, and a lot of the guidance for my whole business has come through dreams. In fact,
Wow.
I have animal photos on my label, and I had a Star Trek dream with Jean-Luc Picard on the Starship Enterprise telling me to put animal photos on the bottles. So, which is, I say every business needs $1 million idea. Well, unfortunately, packaging is important, and that was my $1 million idea. So guidance comes through dreams for the animals, or I'll encounter animals in the wild, and it's like it's time to make them. So the actual ceremonial process is really very, very simple. The easiest part, it's interesting. People say, okay, when you get ready to make an essence, do you meditate? Do you do a ceremony? Da, da, da. And fortunately, for some reason, I've been blessed with this natural, intuitive connection with animals from as long as I can remember. So, and I grew up in suburbs, so there were enough animals around, frogs and turtles and deer and foxes and stuff, where I at least had enough connection there to get me to adulthood where I could really dive into it deeply. But this connection with animals and the spirits of animals is just natural. Like the easiest part for me of making an animal essence is connecting with the animal. So if I were to make an essence now of mountain lion, first thing I have to do is connect with mountain lion. And it's instant. I don't have to meditate or prepare. It's just here. Mountain lion's right here saying, hey, send it. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So I'm ready. Like they're always ready to help. The mountain lion's not ever, no, it's not a good day for me. I've got too much going on. So I'm always by myself. I always make sure that I'm clear. As long as I'm clear, I can do it. And if it's time to make an essence and I'm not good here, stop. Okay? Because if I'm going to be just a bridge, the bridge at least has to be solid. The bridge can't be shaky. So that's sort of the foundational thing. I know the one animal at a time. I have the connection with the animal, and I'm in a good physical, emotional, spiritual place. When I began this work, I always made all the essences in the same spot. And that process is very simple. Place a bowl of water in a clearing in the forest. I have to walk in. So I'm away from humanity during this time. And I'm just aware I'm the bridge. It's all about mountain lion. I'm here like my heart's open to mountain lion. Let me serve you to help others, essentially. I don't think those words, but that's the spirit of it. And I do a walk in a spiral to the center of the circle. Takes about 10 minutes, I guess. And I'm just very aware I am the humble servant of Mountain Lion. And as I circle in, my thinking mind gets really, really quiet. Like almost with every step, my thinking mind is just that it's getting dialed down. So when I get to the center of that circle, my thinking mind is as close to zero with me still moving as possible. And it's at that moment, and all I'm visualizing, all I see is Mountain Lion. I'm not feeling Mountain Lion. I don't get messages about Mountain Lion. Bridges don't feel a lot. Bridges just being that energetic bridge. And at that point, I bend down and I just lift the bowl for 10 seconds as I am with Mountain Lion. And I hold the bowl for 10 seconds. And then I lower the bowl down. And I spiral back in the opposite direction. My thinking mind comes back, 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 back. And 10 minutes later, I'm back at the tree where I started. I am in exactly the same physical, emotional, spiritual places when I started. I'm not changed through the ceremony. Like I said, I don't get any guidance. No, but the difference is, now there's this liquid that can serve. And Henry Ford said, success is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. Mm-hmm. Well, that's the 1% inspiration. And everything else is just, just work, just a job, really, a happy job. But it's, bottling and traveling and teaching and emails and podcasts and having fun with all of that. But the core of it is this ceremonial connection with the animals that is the basis and foundation of everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I love that. That's so awesome. What came to mind as you're explaining your process is the research on water that I have heard about and read into a little bit. Chase and I are somewhat of water nerds. We do our best to get the highest quality water we can just because we know how foundational it is to just health in general. And I think it's Dr. Emoto is the where he had the research where and many others have experimented with this as well, but you basically hold water and you either write a word on it like hate or old or ugly or whatever, or you hold it and you have this intention of disease, hate in your heart or whatever, and you then they looked at these crystals under a microscope and like they're all oblong and just kind of ugly and not pristine. There's no uniformity to it. It looks like the word that they were infused with versus love and gratitude and joy and community and all these beautiful things. They come out looking like the most gorgeous snowflakes, that are perfectly symmetrical and everything like that. And we have many friends that talk about the intention as you drink your water, like infusing it with gratitude before you take a sip. And we know that has a profound effect on the body, and water has memory. And so as I'm listening to you, this is like, I love that you do this and it's amazing, but it doesn't feel like far-fetched to me at all. I'm sure you've bumped up against a few people who are like, that's all you do. But we know that water has memory. We know that it can carry information, almost unending amounts of information.
Well said, yeah.
And just because it's invisible or just because we can't quite measure it, I sort of think that it's like magic is just science that we don't understand yet. Right? It sounds magical, but it's just that we don't understand exactly what's going on. Maybe not. And so I'll stop there, but that's what came to my mind as you were talking about your process.
Yeah, it's that's exactly it. All I've done with the animals is to find a specific way to help others with that technology, that awareness and ability to know that water can be infused with the energy of anything by anyone at any time in any place.
Mm.
Often when I teach, I say, I'm not special here. Anyone, if they're clear and know they're meant to do it, can make an essence of anything, anytime, anywhere. Because people say, "Oh, you're the guy that does the blah blah." It's like, no, no, no. I just know I can do this,
Mm.
and I do. You can do it too if you want.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that.
Take us through some of the findings and some of the learnings working with animals. And maybe we can, talk about them by name or category, but what you might experience using one of these animals as a teacher or consuming it through the modality of an essence.
Do you have a specific animal you'd like me to talk about?
I think of, we're from the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Mm,
And so we grew up amongst black bears,
Yeah.
deer,
eagles, lots of
lots of
eagles.
eagles,
Yeah.
some birds of prey.
Great. Let's talk about those three because they're really very different. So the eagle, for example, and we see this mirrored in many indigenous cultures. Eagle is all about the connection with spirit. So, there's very little grounding in the animal essence that I make of eagle. It's a seventh chakra tonic. It's all about opening up and connecting with spirit for divine guidance, inspiration. It's great for all kinds of spiritual practice. And it's really good for people who say, spirit, blah, blah. I don't believe in any of that stuff. And who are hungry to want to find that truth. So here's an example again of where an essence can support us when we're doing well and want to deepen our spiritual connection, eagle. Or for people who have lost their spiritual connection and are hungry for it, eagle. Deer. Deer is like just a sweet, sweet. I love the black-tailed deer of the Pacific Northwest. There's just a gentleness in them. Deer's all about awareness. You watch a deer and how it lives. It's constantly aware. Its ears are like moving like, ch-ch-ch-ch. And there's just, so in the essence, there is this like sweet awareness, inner awareness of what's going on in here and what's going on around us outside. It's also a great essence for cultivating gentleness. So for people who are hard on themselves, hard on other people, deer is like a softener. It's like, it's okay to be soft. And, in this culture, we have this sick belief that being that soft is weak and bad.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Being emotional is especially for men is a weakness. And it's just so toxically bad. It makes me ill to almost think about it because it's not the world I live in. Because the animals show us that feeling is our gift, and whatever we feel is okay. That's one of the things I teach all the time. There are no good or bad feelings. Every feeling is an okay feeling. How you act with that feeling makes it good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
Anger is a totally natural feeling. I remember Gabriel was 17 months old. We were playing toys on the floor, and he got really angry with me at 17 months for the first time. He was getting like this, and his face got red. And I said, "Honey, the word for what you're feeling is no. Can you say no?" He goes, "No." I said, "Great. Again? No." Again, no, no, no. And that's what anger is. It's our no. It's like, hey, this is not okay. And this culture, we have such a toxic relationship with anger. It's we either repress it, suppress it, like it's not expressed at all, like in my family, no anger, or it's expressed totally inappropriately and violently and hurt people emotionally or physically or both. So we've got to come into a healthier relationship with anger and learn that, hey, anger can actually be constructive. I have expressed anger in ways in my life to people in a healthy way, and it is a healing, productive, spiritual thing to feel that anger and express it in a positive way. And it's actually an act of service to the other person to help them wake up to maybe something they need to look at. So I'm a big believer in all feelings are okay. And the way we act with those feelings, of course, is where we can make judgments about good or bad. So And the animals are here to support us in all of those feelings, making friends with them and expressing them. And as we've talked before, that is the key to emotional health and to healing. Bear. Wow, how much time do we talk about bears? We've got black bears here, and we spend time with grizzlies in Yellowstone and Glacier Park in Montana. And people, one misconception people have about bears and about most of the big, dangerous mammals is that they're dangerous and you have to be, very careful and your life's at risk. And I said, no. Bears are, for the most part, like the chillest animals around. Grizzlies. I've been around grizzlies a lot. I've never had a problem, but I respect them and I don't do stupid things. I let them know I'm around. I make noise and I'm never by myself. And grizzlies don't like surprises. The people that get harmed by grizzlies, go by themselves around dusk into an area where a grizzly is. Don't let the bear know they're there. You're just not aware that this bear has needs of you when you come into its space. So it's about learning how to respect that animal and be among it. And another thing, and this is really true with bears, black bears and grizzlies, is their sense of smell is astronomically incredible. And they smell how we feel. They do. So we come to them, we would go among the bears with love and joy, and we smell good to them. And I've experienced this with black bears not far from home, being with my family in the woods, with a bear that we know very well, 20 yards away, walking through the woods in the morning with her for an hour and a half. Just like,
wow.
Friends in the wood. Not so much friends, but more like we live together in the forest because we're in that spot so much that she knows we're there. We're chill. At times she's left her babies near us, or she goes and gets a drink. It's like we're just like safe people to be around. It's not a problem. And here comes down the trail from another direction a guy who's he's really not so well, and he doesn't smell good. I can guarantee you that. And she turns towards him and pops her jaws at him when he's 75 yards away, basically saying to him, "No, you do not get closer to me." And he turned and fled. And we were happy. We said, "Gertrude, you're a good judge of character too."
That's amazing. So what about the spirit of the bear, the energetics of the bear that would be infused into that essence?
It's really, the bear has this amazing life cycle, basically half the year moving and eating, and half the year sound asleep in their den where they don't drink, eat, pee, or poop for anywhere from 4 to 6 months, depending on where they are. So it's really this cycle of hibernation and emergence, introspection going in. So it's a really good essence for inner work and looking inside for people who need to balance looking out with looking in. And it's also a great essence actually for digestion, physical digestion, because bears, I love to say, bears will eat anything except rock. They're opportunistic feeders, and they can digest just about anything. And so it's a really good essence for physical digestion, and also for when we can't stomach something, emotionally. I love how we have that metaphor, emotion in our language, where I can't stomach something. Well, that's like emotional processing, but bears there to support us with that too.
Yeah, that's really good. Bears up at Priest Lake, Idaho, where we spend our summers. They love huckleberries, and so they will just shred these huckleberry bushes.
Oh yeah.
And then when a bear's been around, because there's purple poop everywhere, which
love
you
it.
can tell that they're eating the whole bush. They're getting 60 or 70% sticks and stems and leaves, and then a little bit of huckleberry. But that's so good.
It's so fun to see that. I love that.
We also we live in San Diego. We live on the coast. We see dolphins quite often.
Seals.
We see seals quite often.
Let
me know.
Let's talk about those too. Great. I love them. So very different energies from these land mammals we've been talking about and the eagle. So dolphin has a couple of tremendous gifts. Of course, it's joy and it's freedom. It's our best-selling individual animal essence because that's what people immediately, when they connect with pictures, movies of dolphins, and when they see them in the wild, it's just this wild freedom, joy, all of that. And that definitely comes through in the essence. It's also the single best essence in the range for compassion. Compassion for ourselves, and compassion for the suffering of others and the suffering of the world. So this is its kind of greatest inner gift. And the seal, I love the seal. The seal is like the flow essence. So if we're going with the flow, watching a seal underwater, you see them flapping their flippers with real power, real intention. And then, boy, those flippers just disappear. They're gone. And it's like just letting that energy that it's used to propel itself, carry it forward, twisting, turning. So this is a great essence for balancing doing and being. So many people in our culture feel like I'm a seal and I've got to flap my flippers all day long, all week long, even on the weekend. Can't turn off the phone. No, because I'm not going to get what I want unless I'm doing. And actually, not only is that incorrect, it's damaging physically, and it's not natural. No, the seal is showing us you can do, and then you can let the energy that you've created carry you where you need to go, and then do. And so balancing doing and being is great. And it's the ultimate essence for flow. And so therefore for physical, it's great. A lot of people use it for yoga, for swimming, for any physical movement, people that are struggling with recovering from injuries and flowing with their bodies. So it's the great flow essence. And I remember Mary and I were camping on the coast of California, having right up in Arcata area, Eureka area, and we'd been with the seals all day, and we were camping on the coast there, and Mary couldn't get comfortable that night. Like she said, I felt like every single stone under the sleeping pad I was feeling. And then she remembered that she'd been seeing the seals all day long kind of go up on the jagged rocks that are like knives. And they're fine, and they're moving their bodies around, and then they just go right to sleep. And so she didn't have the essence. She just pictured the seal, brought the seal in, became the seal, felt her body move, and like in 3 minutes, I'm comfortable, and went to sleep. So seals got a bunch about, and so the seal essence in the tincture I make is great for people who are stuck in the bed or who can't get comfortable in the bed. People in hospital, elderly people who are just people recovering from. I took it when I had COVID and was stuck in the bed for a few days. And seal just helped me to like, it's okay to be here. I can get comfortable.
Yeah.
It's not so bad. It's not so bad. That's kind of
right.
It's not so bad.
Well, I can attest to, I'm obviously, spiritual now at this point in my life. And if you're a listener to the show, you're very familiar that we talk about metaphysical ideas all the time. And, but prior to this, I was, my background, I'm a CPA, and I was very left to right, top to bottom, super logical.
Numbers. Yeah.
And I was swimming. There's a beautiful outdoor pool here in Coronado, California. And this is well before any of my, spiritual dark night of the soul that happened at 27. And I had this experience where I'm swimming for about probably an hour, and swimming is like breath work. Really, you're this rhythmic breathing, and you get out and you're almost high. Yeah. And I get out and I'm feeling, like $1 million. And I lay down next to the pool, and I'm staring up at the sky. And there's this, I think it was a seagull, nothing like overly, majestic, but just a beautiful seagull. Yeah, and great. I just almost like connect with this seagull in a way that my consciousness is like through its purview, seeing the island in the ocean. And I completely lose my body for this moment. And I'm flying like as if I'm this seagull, just completely wild. And it goes on for a couple of minutes, but I almost like, this is, I'm a complete bro at this point. There's no spiritual component to my life whatsoever. And I'm like, holy shit, this stuff is real. And I move on with my life, forget about it. And it wasn't until years later that we're working with animals through Paul Chek, and we learn about these capacities that we have to almost like pull on some like cord that we have with this being and experience it through its own eyes, or experience its energy in some way. And so just for everybody listening, like even when I was in my most practical, like almost too practical, too rational, you're able to like almost hijack the meat suit and experience these other metaphysical components to being with other entities on this planet. It was just really incredible.
And I agree with you completely. And what I would add to that is the reason this happens and the reason it's possible is because everything is interconnected. So there isn't really you and me and the seagull. There's really just one being. And I believe that we all have a complete ability to access all of creation, not just the three-dimensional world, like other levels of creation and so forth, because it's all interconnected. So, and this is to me, this is what gives me juice when I'm in nature, is that's what I'm breathing in.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm in the woods. It's not, oh, there's a tree, there's a bear,
Sure.
there's an eagle. No, here I am as one with Gaia in the earth, for an earth term. So this sense of unity is the fundamental state of beingness. I like that. Unity is the fundamental state of beingness. And our thinking minds have just, unfortunately, can only split things into parts to make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not bad. People say the ego is so bad. The ego is of the blah, blah. I say the ego is just doing what it does, and it's just operating with incomplete information. It's just young. It's just young.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love about the animals and the essences is that they can help us to reconnect more and more, deeper and deeper and deeper with the true state of being, the true nature of things.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. I don't know if I'm able to even define exactly the nutrient that I get from being in nature, but that's probably as good and as close to perfection at what you just said, where you're reminded of your being. You're reminded that I'm part of something bigger. And obviously the lack of the EMF and the toxins and the car exhaust and all of those things, yes, but it's like this subconscious reminder that like there's something bigger and you are part of it and we are all part of it. Because it's like you just feel so much better. And when you don't have that connection to nature, I feel the lack of it. I feel undernourished. I feel nutrient deficient in some way. And then
I like that. Yeah.
Chase's family has a beautiful lake home up in Idaho, and we go up there for the summers every year. And it's like the house is like 10 steps from this beautiful quartz crystal lake, and just mountains and trees everywhere, and animals everywhere. And every single year, I think one of the reasons why this place is so special to me personally is like I have such a close connection to animals there. And I haven't said this yet, but I am such an animal lover. Like I feel deeply into them. Like I just, there's something so pure about the love or the consciousness inside of an animal that I just like, I feel very connected to. And I always have amazing connection with animals up at Priest Lake. One year I was doing yoga on the deck, and I look up and I see a little young bird like kind of playing around in the sand where it meets the water. And I was like, oh, that's cute. And then I look up probably 2 or 3 minutes later, and it's in the water, kind of floundering, kind of flip-flopping, floundering around. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I run to the water, and I remember like you're not supposed to touch birds if you don't have to, like get your scent on them. So I try to use a stick to kind of like guide it towards the sand to like hopefully get it out of the water. That's not working. So eventually I just pick the bird up and hold it to my body, and it's got sand all over it. It's clearly swallowed some water. It's opening its beak, trying to breathe and can't breathe. And so I was like, I don't know what to do here. And I'm like, I'm alone. I don't know it's 7 a.m. and I'm holding this little baby bird that's like barely able to be out of the nest. I'm holding it against my body, and it just slowly calms over the next 5 minutes where it's able to get some water out. I'm wiping sand off of it and out of its eyes and out of its mouth, and just holding it against my body. And for the next 3 hours, after it was dry, after it was completely fine, it's sitting with me, not wanting to leave. I'm holding it out, holding it on my finger. I have videos and pictures of this. This was probably the most profound interaction I've had with an animal, because I like literally saved it. And then it just did not want to leave this comfort and safety.
Oh, it's
And
so
it
sweet.
was just like, it was so sweet. And we just like played for the next 3 hours, and it just would sit on my finger and it would chirp. And it was, it was just so beautiful. And I'll never forget that. But like, that's just one instance up in Idaho where, so this place is very special to us, but I feel that connection with animals very, very deeply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it reminds me of what Daniel was talking about when he had this sort of like shift in life experience, having lived rurally with a tribe, and you get this change in reality, this other way of being that you're exposed to.
Yeah.
And it's just so much more profound than anything you could study or memorize or hear someone lecture about when you actually step into a completely new frequency outside of what you're traditionally operating in and realize that there is so much more. And there's so much
Yeah.
more than just what we can taste and touch and feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'd love to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about your recent trip to Yellowstone.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
As I'm sure it was, deep and profound.
Yeah. So my son Gabriel and I are very close as the three of us. We have one child. Mary and I have Gabriel. He's now 25, and he grew up in the woods, was homeschooled. So basically, for the first 16, 17 years of his life, the three of us were in the woods together. And then he grew up, got hired as a national park ranger at 18,
Wow.
never having gone to school. Great. And now he's 25. He's out of Death Valley in California and is on his career path. He's now a park medic and does medical work to help people search and like he's an animal guy and a human guy now. I love the
Wow.
guy. It's amazing. He's like to me the embodiment of what's possible. And one thing I can say about him is that he is how he is and who he is because Mary did her work too before we met.
Mm-hmm.
So she had her Barbara, I had my Barbara, and we met, fell in love, and consciously conceived Gabriel and raised him and didn't pass on the shit that we'd been raised with.
Great.
In one generation, we changed the whole freaking story of two traumatic family lines.
Good for you.
He's in the world being himself, and everybody loves Gabriel because he has no ego. He's just himself. And because he was loved and supported as a young child from conception to now, just to be himself. And so that he can just be a light in the world, serving as he does, and with no ego at all. It's just amazing. He's like the coolest guy around. So this trip was special because this was an opportunity for father and son to go to Yellowstone together, as we had many times before, often with Mary as well. But this was like our time for the first time in years to be with the animals together. And when we get together, stuff happens. And boy, it really did. It was amazing. We saw wolves from 5 different packs. We saw grizzly bears probably 25 to 30 individual grizzly bears.
Wow.
But our deepest encounter was, and this is where, you can spend so much time in nature and there's always something new. And I saw something I'd never seen before, which was we found a big boar grizzly bear, a giant grizzly bear, and a single yearling wolf that had just, there was a dead animal they'd eaten, probably an elk that had died, and there were just bones left. They'd finished eating when we arrived. And we were observing them from about half a mile away using binoculars and spotting scope. And these two animals, a giant grizzly bear and a 1-year-old wolf, were hanging out together after eating. And I'd never seen this before. I've seen wolves and grizzlies close together without a problem. But they were walking with each other through the sage. And then one would stop and the other would hang out. And then grizzly would lead, the wolf would follow. Grizzly would stop. They'd just hang out. Wolf would turn, go the other way. Grizzly would follow. They were hanging out for no discernible reason. And, one of the things it was just such a beautiful thing to see because people have this conception of nature as being this wildly dangerous survival of the fittest competitive place. And that is like infused our culture. I mean, it's like dog eat dog world, eat or be eaten. We use these language, and it's not the way nature is. In fact, competition is dangerous. I've seen many grizzly bears be aggressive and black bears be posture, but fighting is dangerous. I could get, a grizzly gets hurt in a fight. There's no ER to run to get stitched up. So fighting is the last resort. And so, yeah, there's much more. I get the point I'm trying to get to is we've got this conception of nature as a place of violence and competition, when in fact I see much more cooperation. I remember seeing a grizzly in Yellowstone in the snow one April eating a dead buffalo. And he was just camping out on the buffalo. He ate the buffalo some, took a nap, ate some more, took a nap, so nobody could steal his prize. And here comes a wolf in the snow walking right towards this grizzly bear on the buffalo, and thinking, what's this wolf doing? And he walks right up to the grizzly bear on the buffalo, and the grizzly's looking at him, and they're looking at each other, and then I think they got to about 30 yards, and the wolf did the most amazing thing. It turned its back to the grizzly bear, lay down, curled itself up, and took a nap in the falling snow. And that grizzly bear could have killed that wolf in an instant. But the wolf was saying, dude, we know each other. You're good. Eat all you want. I'm going to take a nap and wait my turn. And these two know each other. They smell each other all the time. They probably see each other fairly often. And they're good with each other, even though they're competing for the same food source. No, they're not competing. The wolf was I talked to the foremost wolf expert in Yellowstone about that encounter. He said, yeah, the wolf, it's a good way of putting it. The wolf was just waiting his turn. So here we go. It's like when I'm with these animals, I'm seeing the unity. And of course, there is birth and death happening all the time. That's the nature of life, of life in this realm of existence. But that doesn't mean that the rules that we've come to place, the beliefs we've come to place on the interactions of animals are what's really going on at all.
Sure.
That's awesome. I love that. I love the alternate perspective that we can take. I follow a couple accounts, I follow a lot of animal accounts, and some of them are, like this one account is called Nature is Metal, where it's it's the wild and life and death and animals feeding on animals. And I like to follow it honestly because it's a good reminder for me to just have respect for what's going on out there. And I am not in control, and because I have, encounters with animals, and it's a good reminder for me, just always have respect and be smart. And so it's a reminder. But what might be beneficial for the listener is hearing about some of your favorite or kind of pointed recommendations for some of the things that our average listener might be interested in or dealing with. And I think that could be really helpful to hear recommendations from you specifically. So I guess maybe just starting with general health. What's one or two that could benefit anyone and everyone just for general overall health?
Great. So I have a combination called Saved by the Animals, which includes 5 different animals. And if I could only make one bottle, there it is.
Yeah, we have it right here.
That
was the first one that I put in my cart.
Yeah. This is the most important bottle I make because it supports us wherever we're at, whatever we're going through, especially useful when we're struggling emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever. And it's also good for helping us stay in balance when we're doing well. And it's a really powerful formula of dove, eagle, turtle. Dove, eagle, turtle, elephant, and buffalo. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And each of these essences, individual essences, is in that bottle. So there's buffalo for grounding, helping us be in the present moment. And when we're struggling, we get very ungrounded. So buffalo helps us to keep our 4 feet on the ground and be here as we're going through this challenge. And then turtle gives us this shell of protection. And when we're going through a challenge, we don't feel safe and protected. So turtle says, it's okay. I've got you. The earth is all around you. You're safe and protected inside. Dove for peace in the heart. Eagle for keeping our crown open and connected with spirit so that we don't suffer as we're going through this challenge. The only time I remember Gabriel's clairvoyant and he can send energy. So I was in the woods with him once and I could feel like I'm just struggling. I'm not feeling right. And I felt like my crown's kind of closed and I'm just ick. I'm not feeling good. I said, buddy, he was like 7 or 8. And I said, I'm just not doing great. He said, oh, you need eagle. And he could send it. He just nods like that.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I felt my crown go, boop, and it's like, oh, I can breathe. I'm good. And it taught me so much about the vital importance of our spiritual connection. If we're spiritually open, we're not going to suffer. We'll feel pain. We'll go through big challenges. But as long as we're spiritually connected, we're good. And we ultimately know that we're just kind of passing through this life in this bodysuit and everything's fine. Everything's really fine. There's no bad news here at all, even if it appears so to our, dualistic thinking ego mind. So eagle helps that spiritual connection to stay open. And then elephant complements both the grounding of the buffalo and the spiritual openness of the eagle. So lots and lots of grounding, even more spiritual connectedness. And this formula is really good when we're struggling. Lots of stories of people who've been in car accidents taking it and doing like surviving. No, I wouldn't say lots, but I've had a couple of stories of that. One of my favorite stories is a woman whose 10-year-old son wanted to take her on a roller coaster on his birthday. They were at an amusement park and she said, no, I can't go. And he said, Mama, please, I'm 10th birthday, I need to go. And she said everything in her body was saying, don't get on the damn roller coaster. But she did. And she said it was like the worst experience of her life.
Wow.
She thought she was going to die. Those are her words. She crawled off the ride at the end on all fours to a bench and remembered that she had Saved by the Animals bottle in her bag. There were just a few drops left in the bottle. And she took it like that. The bottle, and she said, all of a sudden, this 10,000 pieces that she felt she was in came together. And in 30 seconds, she's like, am I okay? Am I really okay? And she was. So
wow.
These results are not guaranteed.
Yeah. I love that.
But it's a really effective formula to use when we are struggling or going through. When I travel is when I especially take it. I go to all different cultures around the world, a lot of urban energy, a lot of bad air and, noise and stuff that I'm just not used to living in a wild place. So it just helps me to stay grounded and connected, even as I'm in these really what are for me not quite natural places.
Definitely. What about for support with sleep? I am a victim of insomnia,
an overactive mind that keeps them awake.
I don't have any problem falling asleep as much as waking up at 2 a.m. and never going back to sleep. But I know that there's many of our listeners who have either issues falling asleep or late night wake ups.
Two suggestions. So the first is a combination that I make called Rest and Relax. And it has sloth for slowing down physically and mentally to like full stop.
Could use some sloth.
We need some sloth.
Drag, yeah, it's great for just, at the end of the week, whenever you need to just like unplug, sloth, to like slow down. Dragonfly for letting go of like the earthly tethers and just being light. Like there's no grounding in a dragonfly. It's just air. It's basically air. And sparrow, the only time I don't sleep well is when I'm worried about something. And a lot of people, their sleep issues are related to a busy mind over worry. So sparrow helps us let go of the worry so that we can rest and relax. The best single essence for quieting the thinking mind is tiger. I call it the Zen master. First time I took the tiger, the one gift I do have is when I take an essence the first time after making it, can be the same day or a week or a month later. I wait for the right moment. I remember taking the tiger drops and it's like my mind went woof, like blank screen, like, but aware at the same time, not asleep or disassociated. No, totally awake and aware, but just the mind was quiet.
Oh, it's beautiful.
For people that have overactive thinking minds, I always recommend tiger.
I will
All
be
right.
getting some tiger.
You need like a vat of tiger.
IV
I'm going to
drip.
send you a tiger, buddy.
Right.
Tiger coming your way tomorrow.
Like an IV drip of
Yeah.
tiger. Yeah.
It's coming your way tomorrow. If I can fit it in the box, I'd love to talk.
Beautiful.
Okay, I have another one. A big pillar of our show is regarding relationships and building beautiful, fulfilling,
Yeah.
conscious
So important.
partnership.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, any essences that can tap into that relationship building.
Yeah. So I actually have a combination called loving relationship. And it has two intentions. Its first intention is to support people who want to create a loving relationship. And the other intention is to support people who are in a loving relationship to help them deepen into that and grow in that. So it serves both. And it's got, okay, I see it's got swan, fawn, dolphin, wolf pup, and peacock. So each of those has a specific gift that supports us in being present in different ways in a loving relationship. And for those who aren't in a relationship, it supports us in, how would I describe it? In befriending and balancing things in ourselves that keep us from having that yet, that might be in the way, or beliefs, or old pains that are there that we need to attend to before we can really be ready to have that the way we truly want it.
Yeah, I love that. I think I remember you talking about, or maybe it was just earlier on this episode, I think dove as well, right? For like heart opening.
Yeah, for peace in the heart and for
Yeah.
coming to peace with ourselves, peace with our partner, peace with the world, peace with life. You know, we live in such, so, let's put it this way. I don't experience this personally, but many people are experiencing the times we are living in as things are in crisis, in chaos, in disarray and disorder. And there, I do not experience that. That's not my way. I don't perceive that, but I'm aware that many, many do. And when they do, peace is lacking. There's, if one feels that, one cannot be at peace. So dove is a great essence to support people who feel like I am living in the midst of an unpeaceful existence.
Yeah.
That was going to be my next one is sort of like global event anxiety and stress. Like just if you're connected at all through the news or social media or whatever, it seems like every week there's something else to worry about on a global scale. And so, but I love that you don't experience that.
And you know why I don't? Because my dial on all of those things you mentioned, news, social media, world events, is down so low that it's almost, but like, I don't watch the news. I used to be, of all the people in my world, I was the most informed. I was the one everyone would come to. What does this mean? What do you think? And now I am the least informed and happier because of it, and actually able to serve in the multiple different ways I'm called to serve, I think, in a better way. And the reason I make the choice not to pay attention is because when I do, it is disturbing. It is. There's so many disturbing things out there. Now, I believe that I am serving to help in as significant a way as one person can, at least I can. But in order to do that, I can't be distracted by unnecessary information. And you know what? If you feel like it's necessary to know what's going on in every corner of the world and the challenges that are happening there, you will not sleep ever again. Because it'll drive you, you'll feel powerless. You will feel incapable of making any sense of what's going on in the world or in life. And the other thing is we're totally dependent on others for what that information is. So, if it was possible for me to go into meditation and get that information and see what's really going on, what I would see is it's not as it appears. Everything that's happening is being orchestrated for the evolution of humanity. And that's the baseline truth. And are we going to wake up and grow with that or not? And paying attention to the news and social media ain't going to help me do that.
Right. Here. Totally. Last one from me is sort of I guess a selfish question. We already have frog because I remember you on a previous episode saying that it was helpful to your wife when she was transforming from maiden to mother, and that's the
Yep.
journey that I am on right now. And we together from lovers to parents. So
Nice.
for fertility, family building, conscious conception, anything there?
Rabbit.
All right.
Rabbit and tiger coming your way tomorrow.
All right.
All
Yeah.
right.
Great.
You guys with those for sure. Yeah.
Rabbit is pretty like self-explanatory, I think.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about it.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
I love it. All right, I'm here for it.
Let's talk about the ways to participate with and work with the essence. And so the ways that we've done it is obviously dropping underneath our tongue with the tincture. I think it's somewhere around 5 drops or so.
Yeah, 5 or 6, 4 to 6 drops is fine. The number, more drops does not equal stronger effect.
Got it. Okay. And then we also and have consumed this for years, actually, or at least once months with Paul Chek in the form of a volcano vaporizer, and he uses them on herbs and tobacco and other vaporizing mediums.
Yep.
And so we've done that as well. What else? How else could people use this?
I love using them in the tub. Take a dropper, put it in the tub, swirl it around. Great. Mister bottles, spray bottle.
Yes.
Great for kids, using them with kids. Putting them in massage oils. When Gabriel was 2 weeks old, he was in the bed with us, sleeping all the time, and he wasn't sleeping well. And Mary and I tuned into him, and it's like, oh, he's growing so fast. It's like a monster. You can almost watch him grow. He's changing so fast. He needs butterfly. Butterfly is like the classic base essence to support us with transformation.
Sure.
Whether it's physical, whatever kind of change we're going through. So I put the drops in my hands and rubbed them into his feet, and he immediately settled. And that became his sleep tonic for the first several years of his life. I just rubbed the butterfly drops into his feet. So my Italian distributor was repainting their office blue, and they put the dolphin drops in the paint, stirred it in the paint, and painted the office. So I say there's only one rule when working with the animal essences, and that's trust your inner voice. If something feels good, do it. And it's actually really, the only rule for life.
Sure.
Right? Really listen. Let's get connected with our hearts and listen more and more and follow that.
I love that. I'm definitely gonna put it into a mister for us and dropping it into like my oils and lotions that I put on my skin every day.
Well, we just have a blast with the products. We're so grateful that you've offered our audience actually a discount code. It's medicine, MEDICIN. And compared to what many are probably familiar with, which is like purchasing essential oils, these are high quality and very affordable. We've got 4 to 5 under $100, and that is really, really rare in the space of using high quality, very effective essences or oils. And so really encourage anybody to check these out. Where website or best places to follow or look into more of the products?
This place is ordering online at animalessence.com, and you can get a lot more information about the range and me and the products, and just explore there and listen to your heart. Like, don't go with your head like, oh, I should take this. It's going to be much more effective to pick with just when you see something, if it feels right, trust that.
Love that. Yeah. And just for reference for everyone, we started with frog, wild freedom, which is a combination of 4 different animals, and otter. We got to keep play. Yep, we got to keep play in there every day. And then saved by the animals, which was a combination of 5. So those are the 4 that we're starting with. And we definitely need to get our hands on some tiger and rabbit and some rest and relax.
There we go.
Yeah. Yep.
Daniel, this has been
tomorrow.
Oh, thank you. That's very, very appreciated.
This has just been a blessing. It's just been so fun to connect with you and learn from you. Is there anything else that you feel like sharing, or that you feel like is on top of mind or in your heart?
just the reminder, kind of circling back to the animals themselves and remembering that we are animals and our connection with nature is like wired in. It's all there. And all we have to do is remember it. And the easiest way to remember it is to get your butt away from a screen and to
Yeah.
some place that is green, or if you're in the desert where you're away, doesn't just away from humanity and its influence. And, an hour is a lot. An hour is, nature is like right here to say, we are totally here to support you, and the animals are here to support us. And it's like nature is so forgiving of our misdeeds and it's so able to replenish itself through us that when we give ourselves permission to make connecting with nature a priority, magic happens. So I just want to remind people to remember that you're animals and go see them. Go find them, because if you're finding them, then you're going to be in a really natural place. And so much is available to you there for free.
Yes.
So just give yourself the gift of that. There's nothing, and there's nothing better that you can do for your physical, mental, emotional health than doing that as well.
It's so true. Yep, absolutely.
Amen.
Thank you so much for sharing your light and your gifts and your wisdom with us and our listeners. I know it resonated, and we are just so thankful for you and your work.
Thank you, Mimi. Thank you, Chase. So fun to be with you both.
Yeah.
Awesome. You guys, thank you for hanging out with us and listening today. Check the show notes for all of the links where you can grab some animal essences of your own. And remember to use the discount code MEDICIN, MEDICIN. And we will talk to you next time. Go spread some light. Okay, bye.
Thank you so much for listening.
If you enjoyed that, check out right over here for some more fun clips.
Oh, and you're going to want to subscribe.
Bye.